And welcome to episode 184 of the DayZ Podcast. Helkiana, you came back. We didn't scare you off last week.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I'm glad you are, mate. It was
tougher
really,
than
really
people
good.
think.
No, it was really, really good having you on, and it's made me so happy that you came back again, mate. But no Cobra this week. He called me. He did have some family commitments, but had a bit of a chat, and we'll be doing an update for everyone about the future of the podcast and how we're going to be going forward. But Postal, thank you so much for becoming a member, folks. That's awesome, buddy. We don't have a lot of members, but those that do, it does help us do all the awesome things that we get to do, such as all the giveaways and things like that we do. So appreciate the support. But we are joined this week by one of the console chads, Mr. Wrath 2028. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. Doing pretty good.
This is the world that we live in now. He's actually doing this via his mobile phone, Pelkiana. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
It's cool all these things you can do now. He was a bit worried about it because he was like, I don't have a computer and all the rest of it. I said, you don't need it, mate. Most mobile phones these days are, what do they say? The average mobile phone is like 100 times more powerful than the computer that sent man to the moon.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. But no, it's awesome. Buddy, how you doing? You've been on before, but it's been a while.
It's been too long. Too long, man.
How's console going for you?
It's going pretty well. I could say everyone on the console side is pretty much very excited on the future of DayZ. We are holding with bated breath to see what could possibly be happening this year, at the end of the year, maybe.
That's a big thing, isn't it, Helkiana? They've teased a lot this year. And I think the console community, probably more than anyone, is hyped about it.
Yeah. Wrath, do you think they're gonna bring us a new map that is going for console as well?
Part of me is like trying to keep the hype slightly down. I don't want to be like putting myself in a headspace where like, oh yeah, they're going to release it. Yeah, they're going to release a new map, because I don't want to be super disappointed. But all the clues that we have seen so far points that there could be either a map expansion to Chernogorsk or to Livonia, or a completely new map entirely.
I don't know what I want more, though. Like, the thing that I would love the most, because it has such a big impact across all the maps. And it's a bit selfish of me, because I know console are dying to get a new map. But there's so many things to consider, like the life of the current game. Before it's kind of a foregone conclusion. And I'm not saying this based on any inside knowledge, but for me, Helkiana, it's kind of a foregone conclusion that they will do a DayZ 2. DayZ is the cash cow of the company. As far as I understand it, it's the biggest earner for them at the moment, the biggest player base. Arma 4 may change that, depending, but Arma 4's got a lot of serious contenders. Squad and is doing some amazing things, and it's not the only game like that in the genre. But I don't know whether they would do a full official map. But I don't know. You'd have a better understanding, mate, because you work in this industry. But
I think they will release a map, but
you do.
We might just see another rehash of an Arma map. I think that would be the easiest way for them. I wouldn't be happy about it because I really feel like we should really get a unique map. But from what you were saying, like DayZ's biggest earner, I think most people would disagree with that because Bohemia also has contracts with the military for their simulations. Yep. So that's
a different company, isn't it?
Well,
that's Bohemia's strategy or something it's called, or military sim, or
so that's their drive for the engine part.
Yep.
So that's why for the biggest time, like DayZ was like 5 members. I'm pretty sure now it's like a lot bigger, the team, because it's been shown, it can bring revenue. And yeah, I think we will have a DayZ too, but they need to bring a lot to the table to make it successful, which is why we might not. Um, it might not be a while because they want to bring something big,
I'm with Helkiana though, Wrath. I personally, it's either I want fleshed out seasons and or a completely brand new map that we've never seen before. Something that is unique to DayZ, not a rehash armor map like Livonia was or any of the other ones from the past, but something brand new designed completely and specifically for DayZ. Well, what are the people in the console community hoping for, Ruff, that you've been talking to?
Well, everyone has been, I know my group that I roll with, they have all been asking, like, we need a new map. We either need season changes on the maps that we have, like have a winter version of Livonia, winter version of Chernogorsk, or a brand new map entirely. I believe that it's probably time, and I believe it's way overdue, that the console and that the game itself gets a new official map. I believe it is well overdue for it to happen. And if they, and it would be insane if they didn't.
Yeah, it does. It was interesting, Helkiana, that you said that it's been proven that it can make money, and that's an argument I've had many a time in the past. It's like, what, don't they like money? If they released another official map, even if they only sold it for $20 or whatever, if they sold that on the console community, and part of the thing I've always said, Helkiana, as well, is a lot of people on console, they play using the Xbox pass, the Xbox Live Pass or whatever it is, where you
the Game Pass.
Game Pass, that's the one. But if they released a DLC map, that's a DLC that a lot of console players who are kind of getting the game for free, and yes, it's a steady ongoing flow of cash to BI, but an official map, that's a lot of extra income coming in. And then you add in all the PlayStation players, you add in all the Steam players. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, definitely. They could, now they have DOJ, right? They see that what Mark said about maybe his map is the new DLC. Like, honestly, I think they should even sponsor modders.
Community DLC.
Yeah, community DLCs. I think that's gonna be pretty big. Obviously, it takes a lot because they need to make sure it's all legal. We all know mothers sometimes cut corners and stuff. But I mean, if there would be an incentive to get this map as an official DLC, I'm sure people, and even I would, actually put some work in an official map, and get everything properly done and get it out there, because it's nice for everyone, not just PC players, console players, to just have something more to change it up from time to time.
I don't understand. I've said this time and time again, but new guest, new co-host. I don't understand how we haven't seen a proper community DLC for DayZ. We've seen some amazing maps come out, but they've usually been pretty much single-person projects. To see something along the lines of Operation Prairie Fire, I think it was, done for DayZ, with the collective genius that the modding community has here, Roth. I can't fathom why they haven't done one. And we've had that tantalizing thing where, well, no one's ever really asked, and it's like, it confuses me. Like, why hasn't it happened?
That's the $1 million question. I can only assume that at the time when people were asking for new maps, the development team was probably not big enough to make that kind of stuff happen. I like to use, like, say, Bethesda.
Well, no,
and
Livonia
now,
came when it was a fairly small team. Sorry for interrupting, but it wasn't a big team
yeah,
back
and,
then, was it, Helkiana?
Yeah, but it was just a
A
rehash.
rehashed asset.
it was a rehash, which was
well,
would
yeah.
be easier
They've got
to
a lot
port
of maps
over.
they could rehash.
Yeah. Unless, like, maybe they haven't been remaking like the Arma maps because they've had the one person that was doing environment working on this big map that is unique, for all these years. Maybe that's why they haven't. Like, I would like to hope so, because
Well, we've got this point on the screen here, Helkiana, and I've kind of seen it myself as well. That DayZ modders don't seem to get together in the same. I don't know about the Armour modding community, but I know Scale Speeder does. But I know the Operation Prairie Fire was a very professional operation. We've had Sergeant Savage on as a guest before, and he talked about it. But I can't believe that there wouldn't be enough of you absolute legends that could get together and pump something out. We saw John McClane tweeting about how he did a 48-hour mega stream or whatever to create a map in just that time. And I'm certain that map wasn't polished to BI standards for something that could be released as a community DLC. But if you were to give 8 months or so, I can't believe that it couldn't be done.
Yeah, I think so far it's just been probably a legal thing that they just don't have the legal department to deal with these kind of things to help modders make community DLCs. And
are you aware of
there's
anyone
something...
approaching them?
Well, I know I've seen things around.
Mm-hmm.
Some people saying that they make a map for like that could potentially become an official DLC, but like, I don't know, it's just like such a hush hush thing that I don't know, it just leaks through places and it's like, wait, I heard this thing from someone else. Is that the same thing that this other person was talking about? It's just like, I think people want to, and I think they might be able, we might be able to, as mothers, to approach them and prove them that it's done. It's just I don't know.
And you do wonder sometimes if that's just someone bigging themselves up or whether they're actually legit when they would make it.
That as
yeah,
well.
yeah. But Rife, the console community really does need something else because I've said it time and time again. Us on PC, we're blessed with a plethora, a wealth of maps. Get your bingo cards out, folks. I don't say plethora that often, but I did say it there. But poor old console, you guys have you've got 2 maps, barring any other little variations that are being done because of the DayZ editor and that. But it would sell like wildfire if it was half decent, is my opinion.
Oh, it would. It definitely would. When you starve out a community like on the console side for so long and release something new, they're gonna gobble it up like candy.
What were you gonna say, Helkiana?
I had a question for Wrath. What was your favorite console update? That was more for the console, not necessarily for PC.
I think it would have to be when gas zones became a thing.
Yeah.
It would be either the gas zones or when we got a new vehicle, as like when we got the Humvee in. It's gonna be between those two.
I wasn't a huge fan of the Humvee when it first came out. Obviously, it came out in quite an unacceptable standard to official, but it quickly got better. But I'm starting to come around on it. It's not a bad little vehicle, actually. It's just a bit janky with the auto side of it. I don't find it as enjoyable to drive as the manuals in the game. But the gas zone definitely was controversial. Like there was a lot of people like, what the hell? But I actually quite like it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
on PC it was a heavily used mod, the Toxic Zones.
Yep.
Like I do wish they would have given a little bit of credit to all the modders, coming up with this idea. Like it
But
is.
on that, Helkiana, they talked about this way back, like way before there were even any Toxic Zone mods. I've heard that said before, and I do agree that it still would have been good. But I know some people have said that they stole the idea. No, I'm certain I recall them talking about Tizzy being a Toxic Zone even when Brian Hicks was still the lead dev. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my recollection. I'm old. I forget things. I imagine things, but that's the way I remember it.
Yeah, I don't know, obviously, because I joined the community a lot later, but there was other things that they have taken from the community
Yeah.
100%. I think obviously the JSON and the CFG gameplay they've been adding for console as well to edit, to make so many things like unlimited stamina, make changes to the map directly. I think that is a thing you can do, right?
Yeah, on consoles you can mess around with the code so characters can have unlimited sprint. You can have characters spawn in with certain items to get them going. I've been on a few servers where characters can spawn in with like a map that can show you your exact location and what direction you're facing.
Yeah.
I've been on several I guess you could call them modded servers where there are custom locations. A good example is Lemons' server. Very
Lemons,
unique
never heard of the
locations
guy.
he's put.
I've heard. Do I know that guy, Helkiana? Project Lemons? Is that his name?
Yeah, I think you do.
Yes, I'm throwing shade at you, Lemons. You're never here.
Never here.
But yeah, I think that was also a very good change for console. Like, obviously for me, I could just mod all that for my server. So when I saw the patch notes, and I was like, oh, that's nice. So now console can do a lot of these like different types of servers. It's a good direction that they are considering these things and they're adding more things for console to modify, because obviously we know that consoles is very tight on what you can edit, and it's just the Xbox and PlayStation, that's their rules, which is why we can't just have the modding so easily as well over there. I will give you an example. So Ark Survival Ascended is this 1.5 Ark. So they've been bringing mods to console. And everyone was like, wow, amazing, crazy. This is the best thing ever, right? Until we got the game and we got the modding tools, and they realized it takes sometimes even over a week to approve a mod to go to console. Because it has to go through so many channels of approvals, of checks, and if they find something, they have to go back and change, and then push it back, and then again wait for the approval process.
Is this going to be the same with the Reforger modding?
I suspect so.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, in your opinion?
I don't know. It's a difficult one when I saw it, how hard
For me, I
it
believe
was.
there
Like
should be.
Sorry.
For me,
what did you say?
For me, I believe there should be some sort of oversight when a fan-made mod or community mod gets put onto the console.
Okay, but it creates an issue, and it's an issue that comes across to sort of similar to Facebook and Instagram and Reddit and all these other websites, that if they do that sort of stuff, then they take on some liability if something slips through. Whereas the current system, BI basically has no liability for any mods because they're all, just using other tools and uploaded to Steam. I don't know what the liability of Steam is. I don't think they're just kind of more like I think they call it a publisher is, or they're not a publisher. They're just there's something there about, I've seen it before with arguments about what can and can't be published, but on websites and so on. And a lot of the time they use this thing, but we didn't actually write it. We're just the host for it. So we're not liable. But would that create more liability for them, Helkiana, if they're getting involved in the approval process for those mods?
Yeah, definitely. So for Arc, it was they gave the responsibility to another company to do the checks and the modding upload process and all of that, right? So Arc kind of passed the baton to another company. So it's not on them, it's on that company, but obviously they still have some liability. But if with the Reforger, the way I've seen it so far, it's all on BI. So if anything does slip through on a console, it will be their ass.
And it's an interesting point for me because Helkiana, part of the reason how Helkiana ended up here is because me being the boomer that I am and my God, the sky is falling and scared of anything that has the word security flaw or security risk or anything like that, because I just don't understand enough about it. But you would think that I would be a fan of it, but I can see the issues there with, it's even for an example that people can understand. It's why they don't do experimental on PlayStation, because the approval process through PlayStation is so slow. So poor old PlayStation just doesn't get to do experimental, whereas Xbox and Steam get to do it because it's bogged down in red tape. So as good as it can be, it also comes with an inherent flaw, Roth. You play on Xbox, don't you, Roth?
Yes.
Yeah. So, do you talk to any PlayStation players at all?
What's PlayStation?
We're gonna start.
You see it all the time. They don't understand why they can't play experimental on PlayStation. It has to be explained to them time and time again.
Yeah.
But it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But we're still seeing a lot and learning a lot about the way that they're going to go ahead with the modding under that. But I saw Scalespeter said it before there, Helkiana, that you're right. The update where CFG gameplay allowed custom builds combined with DayZ, it's the best console update. What update was that one?
I can't remember what the number was. But yeah, when that was added, obviously you will still need to have a PC to do the edits. But it's easily done enough, and so there are some people that get commissioned to do it. And there's some good people out there, doing it, because I've tried to make some areas in DayZ, and I'm like, I don't know, how should I call it? It's like I need stuff to be very symmetrical when I make it, and it tends to look very clean. Whereas other
maybe
people, I
too
don't know,
clean.
they just have this, other people just have this vision in their head, and they just put stuff in everywhere, and then it just looks good. Even though it's not symmetrical, it does look good. When I make it doesn't look good.
That's probably just your own high standards on that, though. But Roth, back to the modding of sub console. Here's a question that'll throw you under the bus, buddy. Who do you think's been the most influential in the console modding scene?
All I know is about Project Lemons and his work. I know I've seen a few other videos of other people doing some small modifications, adding new areas and stuff, but it'll probably be Lemons. I don't know how he does it, but he managed to put in all these custom assets and managed to make it work and make it fit.
Three names have been said in chat, and they're the three that I would have been thinking of. You've got Lemons, the greedy peasant, but I think the big one has got to be Don Sibley, even though he's in and out of the DayZ community. But nothing wrong with that. He does what he enjoys, and he comes back and he's working on some sort of winter stuff at the moment, which is a bit of an upgrade on stuff that you guys have already had. And I know I retweeted it, but it's amazing to me, Helkiana. Like, I don't know much about modding, other than that I enjoy it, the fruits of your labor. But it's amazing what they've managed to work out to do. Like, I still remember when they did that forest fire one. I was blown away by how clever that was.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff that Don Sibley's been doing. Before we had the JSONs and
Yep.
the editing of the map with the stuff with the XML, that was insane. I was taking some inspiration for, even PC on
Yep.
how to do certain things to enhance the gameplay. So,
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Did he basically give you guys any inspiration? Okay, if you could do it that way. Like, I imagine, obviously, it's not the best way to do it. It may have more impact on the server, but it seemed to
you can
me
take
like
parts from what he was doing. You can take just bits and bobs that no one has ever thought of using the files that way.
Yep.
It's still good for everyone.
What servers are you mainly playing on these days, Roth?
Well, right now I'm currently on a PvP no base damage server, being forced to be on there because my friend doesn't like to be on any other server except that one. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Chuck. I'm talking about you. He's scared that his base is going to get ransacked when we go to bed, and he doesn't want to wake up and rebuild it. Well, but whatever.
I get him.
But-
I'm with Chuck on this one.
It's kind of weird for me, that sort of mentality. Like, I bit the bullet hell and I bought Rust, based on watching Alone in Tokyo and Stimpy videos and Willjum and a few others. And I quick worked out it's a game that I enjoy watching the videos of. Playing it is not for me. It's a completely different vibe to DayZ. But for them,
It is. Yeah.
the rating is such an integral part of Rust. Like, I don't even know if they have no base servers, because it just seems that is the big part of it. But for DayZ players, losing your base is like losing your firstborn child in some cases.
Yeah, I remember. So
For me-
talking about Rust is when I played with Samrak like 4 years ago. He wanted to try Rust as well, so I was like, okay, let's play Rust, and I let him lead. So we played on a PvP server, and I let him lead, and he was like, we can make the base here. It's hidden, and I'm like, okay. And he just made
back up. You had experience playing Rust, and he had never played Rust.
Yeah, because I played it a little bit. I didn't like the PvP, but so I was like, okay, let's just do it then. And then we made it like a 2x2, and I was like, we're gonna go to sleep, and this is not gonna be here in the morning. And he was like, no, it'll be fine. No one will find it here. It was like in this kind of like little secluded place on the beach, and then we logged in next day, and we were dead. We respawned, and we went there. It was just nothing left, like nothing, and
Burned it to the ground.
It could be.
Oh, I literally spat my coffee back into the mouth there, into the cup, because
I've played Rust before. I mean, I watch people play Rust. I try to play Rust. I have a DayZ mentality.
Yeah,
I just can't get into it, unfortunately.
but they're completely different because building a base in DayZ, unless you're on a very, very high loot, easy to build server, it's a massive investment. And depending again on the mods or the base rating method, they can get into your base a lot quicker than you can actually build a big one to defend. So, I watch those videos of those people making a base in Rust, and they've got a mega mansion, a McMansion up in half an hour. In DayZ, you're lucky if you've got one gate up in half an hour. Finding the nails and all the rest of it. But yeah,
I guess
totally.
that's why it's different feel, right? Of how important is the base because of the amount of work you put in DayZ for a base compared to how easy it is to just make one in Rust, right? It's very different type of gameplay. I only made the base on a PvP server once, and that was on an experimental server. And when we worked, it was like several of us. We worked hard, and someone raided us while we were offline. They used a glitch to get in and dismantle it from inside.
Yep.
But we did have we had another area, and they broke in. They changed the code lock thingy, the combination lock, and then we went and raided it back.
What's the base building like on console? Because we've obviously got a variety of different mods and styles. From Rags base building to base building plus to DayZ expansion, and so many other lesser known mods that are out there. No offense to them, but what's the base building like on console so far, Roth?
Well, I know some servers, especially community servers, they managed to disable, I guess, the collision for base building, so you can basically build anywhere now.
Yep.
So that's basically the go-to at the moment. And with that turned off, people have gotten very creative in making bases in locations where people couldn't make a base to begin with. Let's see. Good example is the fire stations. People had trouble putting a front gate on one of the main doors that leads right into it. Now people can build, like, say, watchtowers where the big red doors are at, completely block that off. People have turned the double roofs into good little either stash points or sniping areas.
Can you change the types of damage needed to, like I know on PC we can make it so no melee attacks. Can you refine it down so that people could basically only use, say, plastic explosive to raid, or is that not possible on console?
No, as far as I'm aware, there's no way to turn any kind of particular damage to be done on. It's either it's on or it's off.
Yep.
Now, granted, if you somehow were to get behind, say, a fence, you can still dismantle it. That's the only damage you can actually do to a quote unquote unraidable base. If you can get behind the wall with a hatchet or any kind of object that can tear down a wall, you can still tear it down. But as for just, like, say, have it be melee only damage, no. If guns only, no. It's either on or off, like a
That'd
switch.
be something cool for them to add, Helkiana, would be a mod where they can do it like some of the PC servers where you can only raid using, say, a raid saw, or use an electrical kit. They don't have code locks on Xbox, but some sort of lock maybe on the actual combo lock, and it takes half an hour or so to break it or something like that. But I don't know. I know, Roth, you're only one person, but maybe Scarspeeder knows. But are there any mods out there like that for Xbox or PlayStation?
If there are, I have. If there are, I have not run across them. Now, speaking about base damage, that is something that the console community actually does want. We want to have the ability to have, say, only explosives can destroy the walls, only melee can destroy the walls. We're also asking for, like, hey, we only got 3 and 4 dial locks. How about you give us like a 5 or a 6 dial lock, make it even ridiculously harder for someone to code raid, almost next to impossible to code raid. Because trust me, there are guys out there on a 4-digit code lock that will sit there for hours trying to code raid you.
Oh, look, and I don't know whether it's possible on Xbox, but I'm aware that there are people who got macros for combo locks, and they basically just walk up to the combo lock, interact with it, press the macro, and the character just sits there dialing through, and they'll be off, you know, I don't know, watching porn or bloody whatever they do in that time, but they'll sit there. Yeah, I've had a mod catch someone do it to my base on a server in Australia. And the mod teleported the player and he was still sitting there doing the same animation, which if he wasn't using a macro, he would have broken out of. So it's, it's frustrating. Very, very frustrating. Can you play with the times involved in brute forcing a lock, as in trying to guess the combo? Like I've seen that done before on PC, where it takes longer for each spin of the dial. Is that possible, Helkiana? Are you aware of for console?
Well, definitely not the way it is now. I mean, I think when there were talks about, because PC uses code lock a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's so much better, right? Then whenever I was using the combo lock, I would always forget the fucking code. And I don't know, like code lock has some rate limitations, so people can't just go there and just keep entering like insane amount of codes just to try it out. So maybe they can add some more mitigations like hand cramp if you sit there too much, and the character just gets tired or something. I don't know. But I think they haven't really seen it as a big problem if they haven't done anything so far.
Definitely needs some love. It's probably I know for a lot of people they'll disagree. They'll say combat or the Ghost Bullet. Great video by Wobo on that as well. I'll be in talk that a bit later. Helkiana, your opinion on it. I don't know whether you've seen it yet. It only came out a few hours ago. But base building for me, despite the fact that not a lot of content creators get into it, there are some who do, but not a lot. They prefer just the solo running around and killing and interacting with everything they see. But base building definitely needs a little love, especially when it comes to the console community. What was that? Sorry.
Definitely, they need to give some more love to base building, just more options for like how we have on PC, like smaller doors. So you can just put and board up a door and or board up windows and just more storage option. Like, well, we have barrels and like the wooden crate and ammo boxes, sea chest, and that's it, right?
And that's it.
Like,
I mean, if you can squeeze, if you can squeeze in one of the improvised tents, that's one thing. That's another thing.
Yeah, the tents are not very feasible usually, because of the size and like the collision. So, I think they definitely need to add some more like storage options.
Definitely. Just stuff you can craft. And it's, an idea I had a while back, but I am seeing a lot of people come up with some really nice looking mods for PC. There's the one which uses pallets as the primary source for a lot of it. And but there's some, even you with your much stuff, Helkiana, you're reworking a lot of them because you just weren't happy with how they looked. And it's a criticism I've had of some mods, where if depending on what law you follow, we're 2 years into the apocalypse, yet the majority of story stuff looks like it's fresh off the shelf of a IKEA store or something like that. This is stuff that you're apparently crafting yourself in some cases. It'd look a little bit more rustic, but I had a question when it came to base building that, we see these stats of resources all across the map, Helkiana. There's let me just bring this up. Share. things like that. You stack of bricks. It's just sitting there. You know, I always wonder, were they, put in there plan to be used, or is that just a legacy of the old, was that around armor? But it seems to me it's a wasted resource that should or could be like the lumber piles in DayZ Helkiana, where they spawn in sometimes, and when they are, it's a finite amount of them, and once they're all used, that stack despawns and another one spawns somewhere else. But you've also got, you've got the small bricks, you've got the best blocks, you've got pipes, and even I've never understood why no one has ever created a mod using large stones to build, whether it be a foundation or even, you can build stone walls as well. I've never understood that, Helkiana, why it's never been implemented, not just by the devs, but even by modders as well.
Because usually, like with stone, you still need mortar, right? To put them in. For models, they tend to get a bit high poly, so people go for like making it as low poly as possible, so when people make immense spaces, it doesn't lag out people out of the server. I don't know why specifically stone. I guess it doesn't really fit the idea, maybe, for most people as well.
The only reason I say it is it's like logs and lumber. It's a infinite resource on the map that players can harvest, but you've got to either have a pickaxe and a lot of sharpening stones, or a sledgehammer, and that's finite. You can't pair a sledgehammer, but it's just another option that could add a bit more, of a tier system, because we've only got 2 tiers in vanilla, which is wood and sheet metal. But it'd be nice to see, maybe you could create a wall with, yes, it is. And it's a pain in the ass to move as well. If you don't have a vehicle, you've got a long walk ahead of you once you grab that. But maybe you could make a third tier, which is a wall with rock between it. Basically like a mesh sort of system, or just something different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of possibilities. I just don't know. I don't know at all their priorities on that. For me, I don't really like it when I keep seeing like just them adding another gun in the updates. I'm like, yeah, come on, yeah, we have enough guns. We see one like every 2 updates. Is
hot take, but I agree.
But it is easier to just get another gun done compared to the amount of work it would take to add another tier of base building. And I think also, like, because personally I've wanted to make like a vanilla like base building system, and I was struggling in the code. So I can imagine if like in the team, if they don't have someone put there for a couple months to figure out the code. Can
you explain that for the dummies like me? What's so difficult there?
It's just the way they have like so when you make a model, right, you have the wood, the metal, and then if you want to add another tier, all of these are as proxies, and then you have to make the geometry so when the player looks with a camera and points at the item, it targets it correctly and it chooses the right tier, and all of that. It's just, it gets so complicated that I couldn't really get it working well. I had it working for like a little bit, and then I changed something and it just completely broke and I gave up.
Is this the spaghetti code that everyone keeps talking about? It's not as simple
spaghetti
as
code, but also like config. The config is like very confusing, and like how you're supposed to be setting up. Like we've been asking them to also give us more examples on how to make vanilla base building. Like kind of like an example file, but they haven't, because probably they don't know either.
Legendary reasons.
This is again, you're proving again your value, Helkiana. I'm gonna have to give you a pay rise. But yeah, you've got this knowledge that we don't. Like a lot of people, you see a lot of people out there, Roth, who say they need to do this or they should do that. But with a game that's 10 years old, that's been through, it's a hybrid of two different engines. It's not as simple as people kind of think it is. It's
definitely not. Like, I'll give you another example. So at work, because I'm a game dev as well, I joined the project a bit later, and they've used their previous game as a base code for this game, and there's a lot of garbage there, and I've been spending months now, like trying to learn the code, and trying to find where things live and why is it like that, and what happens if I change something. And sometimes, like, even now, I have a task where I need to change the UI, and I just don't know how to go about it. I've been spending a week trying to think how to go about it to not break what's there, or should I just bite the bullet, scrap everything, go from zero? That would take me a long time, right? That would not be very good, for my director, right? He will be like, no, we can't do that. It'll take you too long, right? So I need to find a way of doing this in a shorter amount of time, and that's DayZ devs as well, right? These people go and they find this code old, like 10 years old. Nobody knows why it was done that way, how it works, and that's just the way of coding. So
I do wonder how many, if any, devs still on the DayZ team. How far back they go in the life cycle of it. Like, do we have anyone who was still around when Dean was there, or is it all, people who, basically just have to rely on any notes that might be lying around and try to guess what the reasoning for stuff was? And it's a complex game, Roth. That's one thing I do know about DayZ. But for all its faults in the coding and all the rest of it, it's still pretty much king of the genre.
Still is.
They do definitely need to do something with the storage, like you two were talking about, though, Roth. We've got one craftable item for storage, the crates.
Yes. All we have is just hand-built crates, and that is it. We would like to see maybe probably different variations of those crates, because the crates we got right now are 50 slots. I would like to see maybe a 100-slot version, maybe 150-slot version.
The issue there, I'll stop you there, though, and this is where I'll go back to Helkiana. The issue there is I don't know how bad it is for you guys on console, but on PC, we've got some mods that have some insane amounts of storage on it. But the effect they can have on a server is insane, isn't it, Helkiana?
yeah, and just to the players, like, loading in the bubble of that base, because whenever a player enters in about 500-meter radius of a base, it loads the storage, and then all the items in it with all the attachments, and if they have more, cargo in there, all of that, it has to be transferred over the network to the player. And I have seen servers where it literally just lags you in place. So there is a Red Falcon Helis, which has these attachments of 1,000 slots. And whenever a heli comes in range, it just...
I did not know that. I did not know that.
I have these helis on my server, but I disabled those attachments because I was like, I'm not allowing people to hoard that much, first of all, and also it will affect all the other people in the server. So definitely, yeah. But the thing is, so I had this case on my server a long time ago. I had craftable storages, and they were easy to make. Just some planks and a hammer, right? That's all you needed to make. It was these kind of like fruit crates. They were small, only like 50 slots. This person made 100 of them in their base. just because it was so easy to make them instead of like finding them around, and it obviously was still affecting the server because there were 100 of them there just stacked on top of each other, and it was insane. I was like, I have like maybe 100 types of storage types on the server that you could choose from as well, right? But yeah, I can see people abusing it, right? But maybe they can work a little bit on the networking code, so it's not that bad.
Well, the comment I've got up on the screen at the moment. Would you like to comment on that?
Why wouldn't they use a smaller radius only when you're logging in? I have tried on my server because there's a setting in the server DayZ config to lower that range, but then you would still get lagged out even if it's like 200 meters. At 200 meters also, like, there's 3 layers of network load. 1,000 meters, which is usually the players. 500 meters is the storage items. I think the walls are 1,000 meters as well, like the walls of the base. 500 is for storage, and then 200 is for smaller items, like actual loot usually. So I've tried lowering the number. It was still causing issues for vehicles getting in the areas.
Especially when someone builds like in a main town or something like that, which cars might drive through. What's it like on console though, Roth? Do you guys have a lot of issues with the lag bubble from bases and that?
Not really. I mean, there is a noticeable like small lag spike, but nothing like, say, you're dropping to like 5 frames a second or anything like that. No.
That surprises me because you're pretty much limited to tents, vehicles, and correction. Bonsai did point out that you can craft tents as well for storage. Only those 3 shelters, but with the server host you guys have got, where you're all basically sharing servers, no deadies, and I'm guessing there's probably bases with 100 crates and tents and vehicles in there. I thought it would have been an even worse issue on a console server, a high-pop console server.
I think what keeps it from like lagging out is probably, and I'm just using this as a broad term, I don't know if you guys use like high quality textures on any of your mods, like 4K textures or anything like that. But
well, those are 2 different issues. So DayZ won't even render more than 2K actually, even though we have 4K on some. So the client FPS is an issue when you are in an area with a lot of items that need to be rendered on the screen. But the problem is when you enter the bubble, the network is stopping your player in place. So when you see that hitch, you see a lot of the times when you drive and your car just kind of stops for like a second or 2 in place, and then it like continues and like catches up. And it's because it needed to update your player with everything, like a whole lot of information from the server, because DayZ is server authoritative, and that's the best way to go for multiplayer. The server is commanding the player, the client.
Yeah, because I'm running. I have a Series S at the moment, and it runs everything pretty much very smoothly. I mean, I'm seeing like bases with like, say, 50 watchtowers, 50 barrels, 30 tents, and I'm zooming right past it like there's nothing going on. Now, if I was on Xbox One, that's going to be a completely different story.
That's very surprising to me.
The game is probably going to crash as I drive by it, but on Series S, it runs really smoothly. My buddy Chuck, he has a Series X, runs very smoothly. A good example is when the Series S and X came out, everybody was still using Xbox Ones. If you got into a car and started, pedal to the metal, going about, 90 to 100 miles per hour, guy who's playing on the Series S or X, he's able to drive no problem. Guy on the Xbox One, he's probably looking at maybe 3 frames a second.
Interesting. Wait,
I get the old console stuff, Helkiana, but I don't quite understand how it seems like they don't quite have the same issues that we do on PC, even with players who've got 40 series graphics cards and 64 gig of RAM and all the. I don't know that's surprising to me why that is.
Yeah.
Like the only time we get any kind of slowdown is like if there's like a server issue. Another time when we get a decent amount of lag is when the server gets wiped and everybody's priority at that time is build base. Need to build a base. Those are the only 2 times that we ever, at least on the server that I'm on, don't know about other servers, that lag ever becomes an issue. Like day one of a wipe, people are all building at the exact same time. That's causing some drag. There's something going on with the servers themselves causing some issues, and we have to like switch servers or something. But as for like me and 3 other guys fighting a 15-man team in a Giga Chad castle in the middle of Cherno, there's barely any frame drops at all.
I think that's worth investigating to see why console doesn't seem to have the same lag issues that a lot of PC servers, and it's even an issue on official servers when there's a big base. So it's not just a mod thing, but yeah, that's very surprising to me. But I'm hoping that we're going to see some love shown to the base building side of the game, like Helkiana said. We've got enough guns. I know some people want lots of gun porn, but Anyway, I got another topic that I want to talk about, and this one is a spicy one. It's a spicy meatball. XQC got banned live streaming on day1. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about this. And I've got my own take on it, but we'll start with you, Roth, because I know Helkiana's going to have a take on it. Roth, have you heard about this?
I think I've seen on the Discord that happened. I didn't get a real chance to see why it happened exactly.
Basically, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Helkiana, it happened because it was XQC. And if you know who XQC is, you'll know why it happened. He's a very interesting young man, of a very toxic fan base for the most part. And they follow him. And when you get a person of his size, he's a 5-figure streamer. When I say 5-figure, I mean 10,000 plus people watching him play. He's leagues above any of your biggest DayZ streamers. And where he goes, there's a lot of issues that goes with him, not just because he's XQC, but people could quickly work out what server he's on. They'll spread it in their chats, and you're going to get bombarded with the sort of people who either A, want to bump into him, stream stalkers, or B, people who want to fuck with him, the stream snipers. And there's more than one way to fuck with someone when it comes to playing a video game. They can log into the game and try and meet you and stream snipe you, or they can start attacking that server, DDoSing it. He was on the day1 server, and then he was kicked with a ban, and the message said, "Thanks, but no thanks." Helkiana, what's your take?
So I think they did a good thing. So from what I read, right, this is not, I just want to put a disclaimer. The admins did not tell me this information. This is what I've been gathering from chats in the Discord and Twitter and stuff like that, right? So he was playing with someone else, and we all know that it's very, very easy to just figure out what server. DayOne has multiple servers, but it's very easy to figure out which one it is, and then that it is DayOne. They do have a couple custom things, which is very easy to just, it's that server. So with him, from what my understanding was that a lot of people were stream sniping. They found out the server and they were just bolting for him, which is ruining the gameplay of everyone else on the server, because they don't care about everyone else on the server. They just want to go for that guy and find him and talk to him or kill him or say, some nasty shit on voice.
Yep.
So
racist, sexist, all the usual sort of crap that happens.
Yeah, and there's a strict rule of no stream sniping, I believe, on DayOne, because it is a server that a lot of streamers go on, and it just ruins the gameplay of everyone, including the streamer. So the admins would have to go and babysit him the whole time he would be online to get these stream snipers out, right? But if you think about how many, because he has like not just 10,000, he probably has like 50,000 people watching. Yeah. And that's a lot of people that are constantly trying to join the server. If only 1%
of them have got ill intent, that's 500.
Yeah, so constantly trying to join the server, and then when they do get in, usually nasty shit. So I think some people were saying that the DDoS started before the ban. And I think the admins just had enough and they banned him. And then when he got banned, he got mad and he just said, yeah, this is the DayOne one. And he leaking the IP directly. Obviously, people went and did a full-on DDoS, making the server almost unplayable for a couple hours. But honestly, just having the server unplayable for a couple hours is a bit better than just having to deal with him every night that he's going to play on, having these people constantly coming in.
I 100% agree. And at the end of the day, what a lot of people have got to consider is this is their private community server. This is not an official server. This is a private community server. They decide, rightly or wrongly, who they want to play on that server. They do not owe anyone anything other than, just a bit of courtesy. And that is where the only issue I have with this is the arrogance to put in the message, thanks, but no thanks. That was very unprofessional and basically was like waving a red flag. They could have entered the chat and DM'd a moderator in the chat and said, look, we're going to be doing this. This is why. But that putting that message, thanks, but no thanks, was, to me, stupid. It created a lot of headlines around DayZ that probably wouldn't have been there if they just kicked him with a message that just said, to appeal or contact admin, yada, yada, yada. But whoever added that thanks, no thanks, that was just stupid. Absolutely. If I owned DayOne, I would be having a very, very strong talk with that individual. Maybe it was approved by the people who own it, but to me, absolutely moronic to write that.
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure how we would have gone if it was a different message. Obviously, this was a little bit out there, but I wouldn't say stupid or moronic. I do believe it was the head of the server that did it. It wasn't just, your YOLO admin. And it's just kind of like, what do you type there? Like, I'm banning you because like all your fans are dumbasses and they
banning you because
ruin
you're
our server because you're too
You
popular.
don't have to put a message in.
But Yeah, I think he would still have reacted badly if he just got banned, even with no message at all or
Yeah, I
whatever.
think it would have been a case of there's going to be some backlash regardless of what they would have, whatever action they would have taken, message or no message. There was going to be some backlash of some degree to it. Because
Yeah.
I don't know.
if you
Like, I just
for
think
me
that
personally,
choice
I
of
would
words was bad, Roth.
I think the choice of words was bad. I think it should have been like something completely different. Like, hey, like you said, contact us. We'll let you know why. Because it's like, for me, I would like to know, if I were to get banned from a server, I would like to know the reason why, so I can at least try to explain say, like, for example, one of my buddies got banned from a server and because he broke a rule that he didn't know he broke.
Yeah, but it
maybe
wasn't like a rule he broke, or like
Yeah,
it's just like
this was more of
a
a
very specific, like XQC.
it was basically
knows.
basically the crowd that you are drawing in are known for stuff like this. We do not want that here. And like, say, if you're a super popular streamer and you genuinely enjoy a game, there's the business side, like, say, XQC, Ninja, and others. If you want to play a game that you actually enjoy, instead of streaming it, knowing full well there's going to be people that are going to try to get into that game to either mess with you, or just, I don't want to say nuisance, but just be there just to be there. Use a different account. That's what I'm just saying. Just use a different account, because if he's actually genuinely upset that he couldn't play on that server for a game that he may actually genuinely like, get onto a different account and just play.
You mean like a different streaming account?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what account they use. Like, for some people,
talking like,
sorry,
like I'm not talking about like streaming. I'm not talking about like a streaming account. I'm talking about just like, say, I run my let's say for an Xbox account, I have my main account that has everything on there. Say that's my business account. Say that's my streaming account. Now say I want to be left alone and just play with my friends. I'm going to get onto my other Xbox account that no one on my streaming site knows about.
Yeah, that's for only good for who are connected with you. But once he starts streaming, like Helkiana said, there's custom items. Even when there's not custom items, like you see some servers have a shirt when you're a freshie, and that shirt has the name of the server emblazoned on it. But for the diehard DayZ fans, all it takes is one person in a group of little shitheads to know DayZ and go, oh, that mod, there's one server that uses that mod. That's why he's able to do that. So he's going to be on a DayOne server, or he's going to be on this server or that server. So regardless of what account he's using, people will still figure out. I did see someone before say, but Stimpy can play on there and there's no issue. Stimpy doesn't stream that I'm aware of. He may occasionally, and that's the benefit of him just being a YouTuber. He could go onto one of those servers, and eventually word might get out that Stimpy's on the server at the moment if someone recognizes him, because even his fake voices are quite recognizable. But that's still not 50,000 plus people watching you live. And even if you boil that down to 0.1% of them, 50 little shitheads can cause a lot of damage. In most cases, it only takes someone with access to mum or dad's credit card to be able to do a DDoS. I'm not going to go into it anymore. People know about this sort of stuff, but I'm not going to talk about it. But you don't need to be some next level hacker to DDoS a server, do you, Helkiana?
Yeah. It's pretty easy to get it if you really want to, and young people that have a lot of time and they spend a lot of time on the internet, they know it well how to do it. It's definitely this case was very specific for XQC. I don't think like this, because there's been other big streamers, right? And even Shroud, he's been playing on some servers and he never got banned, because like Shroud's community is obviously, he still has like fanboys, that would like to meet him in game, and they do it, but like they're not like XQC fans. Like XQC fans are so unique.
Let's face it, the average XQC fan's balls probably haven't even dropped yet. They're very immature for the most part. But yeah, it's their server. They can choose who can and can't play on there. But saying the thanks but no thanks, there could have, should have, must have been a better way to say it that wouldn't have generated the headlines that it did. It still would have possibly, made some noise and all the rest of it, but we saw multiple media outlets covering it. Media is a bit of a compliment for some of those Dexerto and online gaming sites were covering it, and it created a bit of a buzz. But as far as I understand, it's all kind of blown over. They're not being attacked anymore. It's business as usual for them. But
exactly.
Yeah, if saying thanks but no thanks, it just kind of added into the meme of mods on a power trip. It wasn't the smartest way to ban someone, especially with an audience like that. But end of the day, they did it, and the servers are still here. They haven't been taken down. No one's done anything. So yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like it would have just continued the harassment on the server if he was still playing on that. It was just the better choice. Suffer on that day and then just move on.
Yep. Like someone said in chat, I saw on the stream when I was watching the footage of XQC getting banned. It was like, start your own server. Yeah, mate. Yeah. Start your own server. We've seen lots of big content creators do that, haven't we, Helkiana?
Yeah, definitely.
Where are all those servers now?
Yeah, they're gone because they realize the issue. Like some of them, they've had DDoS issues, because there were some couple server owners that were probably jealous of the success, right?
Yeah.
But there was the players that they just wanted to get on to play with their fucking favorite streamer, so they would DDoS it, so people would just leave so they can get on. So they just they couldn't handle it. Plus the other work of just making the server unique. It's a lot.
Proper Age, show me a gaming community that isn't toxic in some way, shape, or form. It's always when you're immersed in something, you become very aware of the faults and the issues within that thing. But Star Citizen has the same. Rust is. You say DayZ's toxic. Rust is on a whole new level. The sort of game that's the sort of game that someone like XQC thrive in. But yeah. DayZ's, I don't agree. I don't think DayZ is. There is some issues, of course, but I don't think it's one of the forefronts of toxic gaming. For the most part, just due to its very nature, barring the high loot servers, I find the communities around a lot of DayZ servers are actually very mature to an extent. Would you say you've got a toxic community on your server, Helkiana?
I don't even have a community. I'm joking. No, I don't tolerate toxicity at all, especially how I do run a PvE server. I always say, let people play however they want. If they don't want to talk to you, just go away. Just leave them be, like I do understand that sometimes people are like, oh, no mic is death, and it's just like, well, maybe it just didn't work, or maybe they're mute. I've had several mute people play on my server, and they were always like so happy that they had a space that they could enjoy DayZ.
That's a very good point. People forget there are some people who can't talk.
Yeah, so it can be toxic. I think more on the I would say on the server owning modding side rather than the players themselves. The players themselves are not that bad compared to other games.
Yeah. Some servers for sure, but overall no.
Yeah.
Okay, we are starting to get towards the end of the show now, folks. Helkiana, you had a mod that you wanted to showcase. Let me just bring that up. Thermal system.
Yeah, so I had a quick look at the code in it, and I just wanted to talk about it and see if anyone is using this currently on their server out there that is watching. It is inspired by the Namalsk freezing of food. I think it does say so in the description. So basically, with this one, items can freeze or be hot, and then like they can't be consumed if they're frozen. And if they're too hot, then you take damage when you consume them. So that's the thing in Namalsk as well. Or if
Yep.
it's over 70 degrees, I believe, or 60 degrees, when you eat a can, it will hurt you. I always forget when I go back to Namalsk and I start eating, and because I'm in a hurry, and I'm almost like half dead because of it. But I think this is just like such a crucial thing that it should be in vanilla. I think they should just add it in vanilla. It's a nice addition to the survival part.
Yes.
To be able to like heat up some food as well, where it just gives you a little bit of that heat buff so you can survive the rain or something without getting the influenza. I believe in this one, like it will, if you hold an item in your inventory, it will transfer your body temperature to the item.
That's cool.
As well.
That's cool. Because like that's one of the things that annoys me with the moles is you find a can, you stick it in your pants or something like that. Surely eventually it's going to start to.
Yeah. So with this one, from what I've seen in the code, it's all safe. And there is just one thing: if you have custom liquids on your server, this will override them. So you might have to make some adjustments to make them work with this. Like on my server, I have whiskey and beer and vodka, and that is just not something that we can make compatible easily. So it just requires a bit of extra work when you do implement this mod on your server. Yeah, what do you think about this being a vanilla thing?
I love it. I do. I'm all for more realism, but that's because I'm into cock and ball torture when it comes to playing DayZ. It's an ongoing joke around here, Helkiana. I'm not trying to be crude. It's one started by Scalespeeder about me. But yeah, I love these more immersive. It's why I love Rags immersive vehicles. The backpack mod where you can't access your backpack while you're wearing it. Anyone who tells me you can doesn't know what they're talking about, because I wore backpacks for years of my life, and take those bastards off. You can access maybe a few things on the sides, and that's about it. But anything that adds a little bit more depth to the game, I am all for. It is. This looks awesome. It really does. When I saw the name of it, I was like, "Oh, is this going to be a thermal scope mod?" But no, it was. Yeah.
I think that would be an awesome idea to implement.
I think, if they do add seasons, I think they should definitely do something like this in vanilla, because then it makes more sense, right? Even in vanilla, you will have freezing temperatures on the map, and then like summer, which will be too hot. I'm thinking of using this mod myself for the summer, because so far I've been dependent on the Namalsk for the winter, but I'm gonna be removing that when summer comes.
Now, what do you think of that? Rob, would you like to see something like that in vanilla?
Oh yes, I would definitely like to see something like that implemented. I know you can kind of sort of do that with like cooked meat. I would like to see that happen for when you actually eat it. It gives you like a heat buff. I would definitely like to see that implemented.
I'm all for it. That's the sort of stuff that, and thermal scopes have been talked about a lot in DayZ, and I'm kind of glad that they're not around myself. I don't know about you, Helkiana, but yeah, it's yes, they're a real thing, but they're just so OP, even with vanilla guns. Yeah, we've got the two as it is. The two night lights, which aren't thermal, they're just more like starlight scopes, is what I always called them, which is basically give NVGs, but thermal, it's a whole different kettle of fish. It's I don't think there's any need for it.
It would definitely change the game a bit too much.
Mhm.
I'm the same about helis. I'm probably one of the few people in the community that does not want DayZ to implement helis because I think they're way too OP.
I think everyone's just like sort of let that idea go to a certain extent because I don't think the engine would handle it. Now, if DayZ was on the new Reforger engine, totally different story.
I mean, yeah, I don't know about possibility. Maybe in DayZ too. Might like there'll be a bigger chance, I guess. But I'm just saying, because like obviously people on PC do have like all the mods with helis and stuff like that. And I've added helis on my server just because Roach. It's not because I can't fly them, Roach. It's I just think it's so OP. Like we had this issue on our server where people would just fly around with the helis and finding all the heli crashes and all the events like super easily. It's just it changes the game way too much for my liking.
Yeah, see, you've raised a good point there, Helkiana. I'm kind of torn because I've played on servers with helis and I enjoy them. I'm not a good pilot. I've got one video of where I stole a heli on, I think it was on Fubar Bundy's Scuff server, and I didn't put the ending in because I crashed the heli right at the end, and I should have left it in there to be honest. But they really do. It's a bit like a thermal scope, if someone's got it. But at the same time, you speak to the old hands, and they talk about back in the Armour mod days, the battles that used to go on, to get that heli when one squad had it. But on a smaller server, I can see it could be an issue. But I'm all for choice. Put it in there to let people do it if they want it. But if you put it on official, then that kind of it's going to be it's something that's there for everyone. So yeah, I'm blessed. I'm a PC player. I can play them whenever I want. But yeah, I get where you're coming from, mate. It's not really something that's needed too much.
I'd rather get Boshanka, like a minibus. I would love a minibus.
Oh yes, Utes, bloody all sorts of vehicles that are in the vanilla version of the game, and that are just wrecks. There's so many more options. Bicycles and motorbikes would be something I would like more than yeah.
I would like to see the vans be added back. They added the vans from DayZ to Arma in the last update.
Yep. Maybe we'll get them. Maybe we will, because there's so many vehicle mods or wrecks that you see around the map that just aren't drivable. So there's a lot they could do.
Because we need a vehicle that can hold more than 4 people.
Sorry, but yeah, definitely. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are done for this week. Roth, thank you so much. Individual spotlight, mate. What would you like to shout out? Anything or anyone?
I would like to shout out my good friend Chuckle Nuts. He is on Twitch.
Just took the piss out of before?
Yes.
Yep.
He is English, so that should be
British.
A good point of. He is British, English, and he's very posh. But his Twitch tag is ChuckleNuts604. He streams every so often. He gets more views than me for some odd reason, but whatever. But I would like to shout him out because he is my good friend, and he has recovered nicely from his past motorcycle accident, which I gave him a nice DayZ branded mug with all the stats low. You little shit. Anyway.
What about you?
That's who I want to shout out.
It's a difficult one. I don't watch people. Can I give a shout out to a new game?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how many people know. There's a beta of Once Human. It's a new survival MMO game. It's a bit between DayZ, New World, Rust. So it's just kind of like an MMORPG where you load into a world with like loads of people, and you have skill tree to like unlock different craftables, but then you have like the Rust style of base
Well, it's got
building.
stunning graphics.
Yeah, it's amazingly beautiful, and like the AI, like the monsters they have in the world, they're incredible. And they have PvP, but it's more of like an opt-in PvP, so you can run around, loot, do stuff, fish, build your base, and you're fine. But then you can opt into these wars for control of resources. I don't do much PvP, so experience it for yourself on how that works exactly. They have amazing guns system as well. Like they have like upgrades for the guns. This has been on my radar for a while. This is my second beta that I'm playing. It is a closed beta. I think I should have some keys for it for people that might want to get in and try it out. Honestly, this is one of my this is what I wish DayZ would be, to be honest. Sometimes it's just the AI, like the world exploration, and they have bikes. Yes, you can ride bikes.
They got bikes. God.
Yeah.
Just make the screen bigger for everyone who's watching it so they can see this trailer.
Yeah, I say drive bikes. They do have like mobile bases, which I haven't seen yet. I'm not sure if they're in the current beta. They're supposedly like you kind of have like this kind of like a trailer that you can move around with, like, and you can build on top of it like an actual house, which is a very interesting idea in my opinion.
Kind of reminds me of the Division the way it plays.
A little bit Division, yeah, because it is third person, mostly.
A bit of Monster Hunter, a bit of Helldivers,
Yeah.
the weird creatures.
You have these. Yeah, it's so cool. There's this like boss with like multiple legs made out of hands that walks around the map, and if you like go up in the boss, there's like a loot crate that you can get daily from it.
Okay. No, that's quite interesting. My shout out is going to be a post that I made in the podcast Discord. And I posted this on the 2nd of April, but I wanted to say it live on the show as well. And talking about the DayZ Unite event that myself and 9 other people are going to Prague for. And I was mulling this over the Easter long weekend. And I cannot thank DayZ, Bohemia Interactive, and in particular Scotty, enough for this amazing opportunity and event. Time and time again, we see gaming companies collab with only big names. No offense to most of us going, we aren't. In the DayZ world, yeah, a few of the creators are household names, but outside of DayZ, nobody's. You know, Smoke is probably the only one who's got a good cross-game presence with his Escape from Tarkov stuff that he does as well. He's got an item in that game for those who don't know. But pretty much everyone else is going. We're only names in the DayZ community. The fact that Scotty and BI chose to get all DayZ-oriented creators together for a big announcement and not just throw all the marketing budget at getting a Shroud, a Sacriel, an XQC type creator is both astounding and humbling. This is community right here.
All of those chosen have contributed in some way, shape, or form over the many years of this game's development, and BI have stayed loyal. Even look at the last similar event when Brian got together a bunch of folks at PAX. They were all DayZ staples: Mr. Moon, Mr. Blackout, Jam Jar, Echo, and so on. So, yeah, it's appreciated that BI are a different to the rest out there. Regardless of who some in the community wish was and wasn't picked, the fact that they chose just DayZ creators says a lot about BI as a company. So remember that. We give them yeah, here, we give them a bit of shit every now and then for, but that's important to do. You've got to call out the stuff that you don't agree with as much as you call out the stuff you do agree with. But this is definitely a win right here, in my opinion, not just because I'm one of the people chosen, but because of who they chose overall. Would you agree with that, Helkiana?
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see. Even though I do have to comment, as a mother, I wish there were some mothers included in the event, because I feel like, creators do bring out a lot, of the visibility towards the game. I think
look, you modders can feel like you're going in me. I'm here to represent you guys on what Helkiana is saying. Could we pick anyone else? Anyone else? Hashtag adopt a modder, folks.
But yeah, it would be nice to see some more involvement with the modders as well. We know that there's some involvement with the Arma modding community. They have a bit more there, but it'd be nice to see on DayZ as well. But it is good to see, though, that they're doing, actual DayZ creators, because we've seen it like so many times. Even like for example, Dr. Disrespect got an armor in Tarkov. Like he never even played the game before that, I believe, and he got an item compared to so many dedicated streamers to Tarkov, right?
Yeah.
And then he played it a little bit, and then he never touched it again. It's not great. Like, I understand that they're big and then they can promote more the game, but there should be also a good amount of appreciation to the dedicated creators.
Yeah, look, like I said, we could talk a lot more about who was and wasn't picked, but at the end of the day, they pick people they have, and maybe they're going to do, depending on how successful this one is, maybe they'll look at doing more. Like, I know they had the big modders meeting end of last year, which was a great step forward. And yeah, it would be nice to see maybe a console focused event down the line, because console, love it or hate it, it brought in a lot of extra money for BI to keep supporting what they do. But yeah, anyway, folks, we are done for this week. Thank you all so much for joining us. Roth, it was a pleasure as always, mate. You're a good guest and always have a good take on things. Our guest next week, ladies and gentlemen, let me just go down to the guest list. Something I should have prepared earlier, but I'm old and I forget shit. I've got to clean up this Discord. Is Duddits, a small creator who I've been chatting with, who's going to be coming on to talk about the perils of being a small creator and the highs and lows and all the rest of it. And maybe some of you out there will have some advice for him on things he can do to boost views and all the rest of it. But yeah, I'm quite excited for that one. Roth, once again, thank you so much, buddy.
No problem.
And we will see you all. Helkiana, you are here next. It's end of this month where you're going to be away, isn't it?
Well, I will see how tired I am, because it is like I will be home, but there will be a night of drinking before.
Oh, you've got to come on. You've got to come on. I want to see
So I'll be hungry.
A drunk Helkiana. Please don't let me down. That'd be awesome.
It's the night before. It's the hen party for my best friend.
Hungover Helkiana. Yeah. I don't know if I want that.
Yeah. So we'll see how I feel, because I'll probably get home pretty late as well. So
we'll send you some
I'll
iron
let
brew.
you know.
We'll send you some iron brew, buddy. No worries then, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much. Don't forget to check out our merch, those awesome shirts. I've got some more that are going to be going up soon. But yeah, see you later, everyone, and ciao for now.
Bye-bye.
See you.
And he's bailed. Wait for it to finish.
It's still streaming.
Upload progress. I think it's just finishing the cloud upload.